Hi, I'm here with Kenan Mills. She's a 4th and 5th grade teacher at Nashville Elementary School. We're just going to highlight her this week. She's going to go over some things that help make her remote and hybrid learning a little bit easier. So the first thing that Kenan was going to talk about is using the dual screens in class so that she can monitor her remote children as well as her in-person children.
Okay, so we found that with my 4th and 5th graders, it was easier for me. I started having my kids' faces from Zoom on the big board, and my kids in class would be able to see them. But what I found was for math, they weren't able to actually interact as well because they couldn't use my computer. So we've started using my Zoom. Kids stay on my computer. I have them pulled up on the computer and share my board screen so that the kids that are in person and the kids virtual are able to see the same thing. And then they're both able to interact by the kids coming up to the board and able to write on it, whereas the kids at home are able to use the Annotate tool in Zoom. And from home, they're able to write on my screen so that they're able to communicate back and forth.
Yeah, that's really neat. So the track A and track B kids are technically in the same class, but they never see each other. So
Right.
That's the way for them to connect. So I think that's really awesome.
And so the Annotate tool has probably been the biggest help, only because I didn't know about it until close to the end of November. And so the kids were able to, from home, write on my screen and highlight things. And that has been a big help, especially in math. So.
And for those watching, if you need any tips on how to use the Annotate tools, if you'll look on our IT updates page, we have several videos and instructional directions listed so that you can see how to use that, or reach out to me or Kenan and we'll certainly help you. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about Google Classroom and how you organize that, because you talked about how you have some topics and then a calendar to help the kids stay organized. So if you want to share your screen, show us how to do that, because I know teachers do the topics different ways and it just depends on your preference, but just having those topics and explaining it to the kids is a big first step in their organization.
Okay, so when the kids come in, I wanted to be able for all of my kids to see on the upcoming, we really went over that this is where you're able to see your assignments. But the main thing I wanted to look at was the classwork, because when I first pulled up their classwork at the beginning of the year and even looked from previous years, it was one long list. And so the kids were really having trouble, especially in the spring with remote learning, of where their assignments were, what was in the topic that we're talking about. So the topic tool has been wonderful. So we have been able to create a resource tab. So all of my classes have a resource topic at the top. Then we have an extra credit. That's where we dump anything that, throughout that 9 weeks that we might give them. But having the module that we are actually on, or the topic for math, and I know some of our reading teachers have done the same now, has been great, because I can say, all right, we're in module 5, and they have a calendar, which I'll show you in a minute. And so they know I'm doing module 5, lesson 9 and 10, and they're easy to find once they're in their Google Classroom.
Yeah, and I really like how you have resources at the top. So obviously in alphabetical order, that doesn't come first. But right. I don't think some teachers know that if you just click on the title, you can drag and drop it wherever you want to, so that the kids, like you said, having those resources first, if they had their conversion chart, then that's the first thing that they see. So they know if you're in the measurement topic, they can click on that and have easy access. So I think that's awesome. You said
and then so the main thing in the resource topic we wanted to have was that Zoom link, so that our children were not having to be sent a Zoom link every day, that every day they would be able to come here and actually click that Zoom link. So for all, of my classes, we made sure that they had a Zoom link under math and for reading and stuff. Then we had a schedule just if they had to change, and we wanted to make sure that they were
knew where they're supposed to be,
and especially during this time, schedules changing frequently. So we put that there. And then the other big thing was me having a math calendar, and this was for me teaching, being organized. But for the kids at home and for their parents, I also attach this calendar in Class Dojo. And so when the kids are able to click on it, they're able to see what is coming up, and I have it rolling. So they're able to see as I change it, what's at home. And as I plan for the next few months, they're able to see what they have coming up and when it's due. And so that has been a blessing, I think, for the kids and the parents mainly, because they're able to print it out, or they're able to have a copy of it. and they're able to have their child mark off what is due so that they're accountable that it's actually being turned in.
Nice. I love that. I think that's so helpful for the parents. I know everyone's kind of struggling during this time to keep everything organized, especially, if you're a teacher parent and you have, several different children. I also just wanted to note that you have materials listed there. So a lot of times when teachers are in Google Classroom, they just create an assignment. But I like that you created a material, because then kids know that it's not something that's due. It's just like one of your resources. So I think that's really good to note as well, that you have different options. It's not always an assignment. Sometimes it's just a passage you want them to read, or a conversion chart, or something like that.
Well, and at first we were actually doing all assignments, but we found that if I put it as an assignment, it shows up here, and I didn't necessarily need anything but what was due throughout the week to be in that upcoming stream.
Yes. And I love on this is your teacher view, but on the student view, they basically have a to-do list. When they log into their Google Classroom, as long as teachers put that due date, like you were saying, and assign the assignments, the kids will see exactly what they need to do, what's due first, second, third, fourth. So I think that's very helpful, the way that Google integrates that into Google Classroom.
And then the other thing that I will hit on is that I was just shown this a few weeks ago, but they have the review tab in Google Classroom, and I was always kind of weird about what that was. But the big thing was I wasn't sure that when I had my classes, that if once they finish and I check them off and return them, that if I marked as reviewed, it goes away from not from their Google Classroom, but from their upcoming list, and per se locks it, so that they know that the time is timed out and they're not able to go back in and do it for their grade.
Gotcha.
So
I like it.
And it kind of keeps the teacher end of it not so overwhelming.
Yeah,
You're only seeing what is for that class that week.
Yeah, I did not know about that either. So that's very helpful. So basically, if you said something is due on Friday, January 8th, then you can go ahead and review it on the 9th, so that it goes away, so they know that's past due. And they don't need to turn it in. Or set up something to do some makeup work, I guess.
Yeah, so that has been a big help on my end, not being so overwhelmed with, did this turn it in on time, or they say they turned it in late. This way you know.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us, and I'm sure that you'll be available if anybody has any questions. I think she's TK Mills at ncpschools.net, and then I'm CW Acock. So if you have any questions, you can email us at any point about what Kenan went over, or about anything with instructional technology. I hope everybody's surviving out there, and I hope y'all have a great day.